Thanks for the introduction, Nadine. I'm going to talk about the A14, talk a little bit about the objectives of the project, and perhaps more interestingly, how we measured benefits and what we might have done differently if we had our time again. So firstly, just sort of reflecting on what the project was about. It was a huge project, 1.5 billion. Pleased to say we delivered it on time and on budget, and we're well on track in terms of delivering our objectives. So for us, the whole point of delivering this project was about combating congestion, improving safety, and unlocking growth. And in terms of congestion. The job will reduce travelling times at peak time by 20 minutes. Quite a significant improvement. Having travelled it for the last 4 or 5 years, it was a real difficult journey, and moving forward it will be much easier. And the solution provided sort of 21 miles of modern road. It's created 126 new lane miles to the network, so increasing capacity quite significantly. And perhaps more importantly, for the local communities, it put the right traffic on the right road. So the new A14 is designed to handle the strategic traffic, HGVs. Interestingly, the A14 has something like 30% of HGV traffic, and provides the economy 40% of the UK's container traffic. So putting that really important traffic on the strategic road network, but also creating a local road that the local communities can use, sort of immediately adjacent to the new road. In terms of safety, the scheme will reduce over the next 60 years the number of accidents by 3,000. Quite a significant improvement, and this was achieved not only by introducing sort of technology and looking at the way the geometry of the road. I guess it also looked to ban sort of slow-moving traffic, and by doing the combination of a modern design and looking at technology, we believe we've reduced, or will reduce, the number of killed and seriously injured by 50%, which was one of the ambitions for the project. In terms of growth, we probably all know that Cambridge is one of the fastest growing regions in the country. It is expected the population is expected to grow by 24%. In the next 20 years, employment growth will increase by 16%, and something like 23,000 new homes are going to be built sort of over the next sort of 10 years. And to have infrastructure that supports that growth is really important to the region. And by doing that, the new road will save on average something like £70 million a year, just by creating that modern infrastructure for a prosperous region. So just moving on to benefits, there is a real focus now in terms of social value, and the project was set up with the belief that it would be far more than a road. So we were trying to position the project not just as a civil engineering scheme, a significant endeavour with 14,000 people working on it over 3.5 years, but actually we were going to be working adjacent to a community, and therefore we wanted to sort of maximise the positive contribution we could make. So just looking in terms of what that looked like, we sourced over £120 million worth of goods and services locally. And we helped some local businesses grow. For our industry, we need a vibrant and successful supply chain, and big projects like the A14 have a responsibility to support sort of young businesses grow. And perhaps one of the best examples from my point of view was a company called K2. And K2 are a local business, and they provide sort of free vehicle recovery, so breakdown recovery. So when we put traffic management out on the road, we're obliged to support road users by providing this free service. K2 were fantastic at this. No, they achieved scores of over 90%, which was unheard of in Highways England, and normally our scores are much lower than this. But K2 did a fantastic job, and working together, they were able to grow from a team of about 16 to a team of over 50. Now their vehicles have grown from 10 to about 60, and K2 are working right across our network because they've done a fantastic job, and that will obviously have a positive contribution to the location, to the region. Sorry. Archaeology. So archaeology. When I joined the project, I wasn't particularly expecting that archaeology would feature so much for such a long time. And unbeknown to me, we were going to unearth 6,000 years of human history, finding sort of Neolithic henges, Bronze and Iron Age settlements, Anglo-Saxon and Roman settlements, as well as sort of remains of woolly mammoths. Really, this was of huge interest to the local community. We really were able to create a whole dialogue with the community who are interested in that history, and ultimately we were able to work with the county council and Homes England to create a sort of a heritage facility. So a lot of the artefacts that we found can be accessed in this facility in the future. So our legacy in this respect is quite strong, and future projects now are looking to see how we might be able to sort of improve that engagement, be a bit more proactive with communities who have that interest, and obviously with projects like the Stonehenge, the A303 Stonehenge, where archaeology is sort of right at the very centre of that particular project. Creating that engagement and creating value and benefit for the local community is hugely important. So sustainability. The first thing a project does, like the A14, is sort of decimate, as far as the local community is concerned, all the sort of the trees, the natural habitat. Because we need to clear the way for a project, and so it was quite a shock to those communities. But in terms of our legacy, we've created more than a square mile of new habitats. For every tree we cut down, we've replaced with two. We've planted something like 40 different species, that will prosper over the next sort of 15 years to create a vibrant habitat. Yes, it will take a while for these to grow, but we expect to see biodiversity sort of improve as a result of our work. We were really focused on being as green as we possibly could. We used 100% renewably sourced energy for our compounds. We were one of the first adopters of solar-powered floodlights and generators, and trialled hydrogen-powered vehicles. And perhaps more significantly, in some ways, is we saw something like 50% of the materials locally. Something like 5 million tonnes of materials was used from within the red line boundary, removing something like 2.5 million road movements, and obviously that had a sort of a significant carbon reduction benefit. One of the things that I was really pleased and proud that we achieved is around this skills and engagement area. We worked with 50 local schools. We did an awful lot of STEM activities. Now, in our industry, needs to encourage people to join the construction industry. There's no better time to do that in terms of sort of engaging with schools. And we welcomed kids from sort of 7, 8, right the way through to 18-year-olds to try and encourage kids to be interested in construction in the wide variety of roles that are and exciting roles that are available to them. And by a long way, sort of the environment and the digital gender was the things that really resonated with them. And we had something like 260 career events. We had lots of apprentices and graduates, people that were starting the early start of their careers, trying to show how a different sort of way of working, losing some of the baggage of the past, working collaboratively as a team, welcoming diversity, being inclusive, creating the culture that people would want to join was one of our successes, I believe. So the other thing that we focused on was a community fund. Right at the very beginning, we set aside some money, about £450,000, that we could invest by engaging local communities and representatives from the communities to see how we could make a difference. And we had a wide variety of it's not investments, but supporting various local initiatives, from traffic calming measures to supporting Huntingdon and their sort of history festival, introducing new bus stops, engaging artists, working with the Wild Trust, and those sort of things. I hope will leave a legacy when we're long gone. The communities will think, well, yes, it was a difficult when the road was being constructed, but actually they left a legacy that will remain for quite some time afterwards. I think it seemed really difficult to do, and from a £1.5 billion project, £450,000 seems quite a modest amount, but it's a start. We can learn from it. So one of our ambitions was around connecting people. Roads, sort of obviously from end to end, create journeys, but they obstruct. They go through old traditional routes, and with sort of the interest, particularly in Cambridgeshire, around cycling and walking. It was one of our objectives that we contribute to that connectivity. So in the design that we took to planning, we introduced something like 24 miles of cycleways that could be used for horse riders and people walking who want to walk. 8 miles of new routes along the new local access road. So it wasn't just about a new road, it was also trying to use the assets that already existed. And we worked really hard to sort of join up communities that have been truncated by the old A14. And I can remember a particular resident who was really excited that he could walk or be able to walk safely to a pub that in the past he really struggled to do so. And so creating those local connections was a big part of the project. So how can we build on this? because as I've sort of alluded to, it seemed really difficult at the time, and there is an agenda. The ICE has recognised this around the responsibility, I think, that infrastructure projects have in terms of creating social value and maximising that huge investment in infrastructure. How can we make the biggest bang for the UK? I think, you know, the national growth and policy is important, but creating that alignment is challenging. To make this really work, we have to sort of work with key stakeholders, local communities, and trying to sort of focus on the things that are really important. One of the things around the A14, just as an example of how difficult it seemed to be, we focused on unemployment, which is a sort of a national issue. But in Cambridgeshire, there's very little, or in Cambridge, there's very little unemployment. And so, you know, we focus on unemployment, whereas maybe we could have focused on something that was much more important for the local communities. And we ended up busing people from Wisbech to satisfy that need, and undoubtedly we did make some contribution to that agenda, but actually we might have been able to make a bigger impact in the communities if we've been able to speak and get alignment with the local needs. I think the whole planning process, now where local plans are generated by local authorities, and we come along and try and align an investment, we must have far better sort of insight so that we can again try and maximise the benefits that our projects can realise. And I think that the other aspect of this is that when I look at the A14, as I said earlier, 14,000 people sort of worked on the A14, something like 14 million man hours. 85% of those people lived away from home. So they're travelling mostly from the north of the country, sort of every week. There must be a way where we could change that and create vibrant job opportunities in our construction industry, particularly in infrastructure, where that isn't necessary anymore. So that's my presentation. Thank you very much.